Have you ever noticed how the quietest person in a room can command more influence than the loudest voice? How the one who listens calmly can hold more authority than the one giving constant orders? That's because true power is rarely announced. It is recognized. If you grasp this, others will respect you, and some will even fear you, not because of volume, but because they cannot predict you, cannot sway you, and cannot control you. The first psychological truth is this: silence is a weapon. When you stop reacting, you become unreadable. People will demand explanations, apologies, or justifications, but you offer none. In that silence, they are left to face themselves. Silence reflects their own doubts, fears, and motives. Most of the world is built on reaction. Crowds react, markets react, the weak react. But if you don't, you become untouchable. And nothing unsettles others more than someone who cannot be directed. The second truth is that predictability is weakness. If people can anticipate your responses, they can exploit them. They'll know what pleases you, what irritates you, what makes you desperate to be accepted. They'll know which accusations push you to defend yourself and which pauses push you to over-explain. But when your words are deliberate, when your expressions are restrained, their influence fades. You become like smoke, impossible to pin down. A predictable person is easy to manage. An unpredictable one is treated with caution. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, but it is fatal to be dismissed. Predictability leads to dismissal, and with it, the loss of respect. Now consider the third truth. People crave certainty, and when they don't get it, they project their own fears onto you. If you offer no quick answers, no simple explanations, you become a mirror for their insecurities. They may call you arrogant, unkind, or untrustworthy, not because you are, but because your calm unsettles their sense of control. This projection is its own form of influence. You shape their emotions without lifting a finger. When you stay centered while others lose composure, you reveal who is truly in charge. They may accuse you of manipulation, of playing games, but remember this: power is not granted, it is taken. And most people will willingly surrender it to anyone who seems to understand them better than they understand themselves. Your role is not to comfort, but to ensure you are respected enough never to be underestimated. So why do so many speak too quickly? Why rush to explain, defend, or apologize? It is fear of being misunderstood. Let them misunderstand you. There is power in being unreadable. The person who exposes everything soon becomes small in the eyes of others. They see his insecurity, his dependence, his desire to be accepted. He becomes manageable. But the one who guards his thoughts, who reveals little and only by choice, becomes formidable. He leaves others to fill the silence with their own assumptions, and in doing so, his presence grows. The less you disclose, the more they imagine, and imagination always exceeds reality. History proves this. Leaders, generals, and thinkers who were most respected spoke with precision or chose not to speak at all. Their silence was never emptiness. It was strategy. When they did speak, every word mattered. That is power, making your words rare enough to carry weight. Don't waste them on seeking approval. Don't waste them explaining yourself to those who will never truly understand. Each time you rush to speak, you hand over your advantage. Each time you react too quickly, you give away your strategy. Instead, pause. Watch closely. Listen not only to words, but also to silences, hesitations, and unspoken discomforts. Learn more about them than they know about themselves, and reveal only what you decide to. And when they insist you respond, wait. Let the silence linger. Let them feel their own unease. Most people cannot bear it. They will rush to fill the gap, often exposing more than they intended. That is how you gain ground in negotiations, arguments, or relationships. By refusing to play by their rules, by making your calm unshakable, Machiavelli did not write about kindness for its own sake. He wrote about survival in a world shaped by power and fear, and nothing threatens those who seek control more than someone who cannot be controlled. This is where discipline begins. Practice silence. Abandon the need to justify. Break free from predictable responses. Know your triggers and cut their influence. When you feel like lashing out, step back. When you want to explain, wait. When you feel the urge to defend, simply observe. This is not weakness. It is strategy. It is the art of making your absence felt more than your presence. Once people realize you cannot be manipulated, respect will follow. It may not be love, but it will be the kind of respect that makes others think twice before disappointing you. That form of respect is far more reliable than affection. The first lesson is silence equals control. The second, unpredictability equals security. The third, projection equals power. Master these, and you will stop living for others' approval. You will no longer chase their affection or justify yourself. You will stand in your own strength, and the world will adjust around you. They may call you distant, cold, or unfeeling, but they will know not to test you. If you want to be more than a puppet, you must make your silence stronger than your words. Now consider this. Do you know what triggers you? Do you know why certain words break your composure? Why some silences push you into over-explaining? The fourth truth is that whoever controls your emotions controls you. A manipulator doesn't need to restrain you physically. They only need to know which words provoke your anger, guilt, or need for validation. Your emotions are levers, and the world is full of people willing to pull them. Freedom comes only when you take command of your own inner state. When you stop reacting automatically, you become impossible to manage. But self-control does not mean becoming empty or indifferent. Which brings us to the fifth truth. Real strength lies in selective vulnerability. Show only what you choose when it serves you. Reveal anger when it has purpose. Offer empathy when it is earned. Do not mistake complete openness for authenticity. The world punishes unguarded honesty. It twists your words, uses your weaknesses, and remembers your mistakes. A wise person knows not everyone deserves access to their deepest self. He shares selectively, reveals wounds only to those who will not exploit them. Selective vulnerability is not dishonesty, it is survival. It is the art of deciding who has earned your truth. And now the sixth truth, perhaps the hardest to accept. Guilt is the leash used to control you. Think of how often guilt shapes your choices. You say yes when you want to say no. You apologize without cause. You over-explain to avoid being misunderstood. You sacrifice your needs to avoid being called selfish. But guilt is a social tool designed to keep you compliant. In moderation, it has value, but unchecked, it becomes a cage you lock yourself in. Manipulators know this. They don't need to threaten you, just a sigh, a disappointed look, a subtle suggestion you failed them, and you hurry to make it right. If you want freedom, you must endure guilt without giving in. You must allow others to be disappointed without rushing to fix it. Imagine your strength if you mastered these truths. If no one could provoke you into revealing your weaknesses, if no one could exploit misplaced openness, if no one could manipulate you with guilt, you would be dangerous, respected, and unshakable. Most people are ruled by emotions they don't even notice. They are easy to read, but you must become unreadable, and the less they can read you, the more they will respect. And yes, even fear you. They may accuse you of being cold, or say you have changed, but what you will have shed is the leash they once used to guide you. The leash that made you explain your choices, apologize for your boundaries, and seek permission like a child. Cut that leash, and they will resist. They will provoke you, test you, try to guilt you back into submission, and that is the moment to stand firm. If you yield even once, they will know the leash still works. But if you hold steady, they will realize the truth. You are no longer theirs to control. The result is respect. Not always love, not always approval, but lasting respect. Even those who dislike you will measure their words carefully. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is refusing to be anyone's puppet. It is building relationships on mutual respect, not silent manipulation. In the end, the one who cannot say no is not kind, he is used. The one who cannot stay silent is not honest, he is exposed. He is not protected. The man who cannot carry guilt is not moral, he is simply obedient, and obedience to the undeserving is not virtue. Remember these truths. Whoever directs your emotions directs you. Selective vulnerability is your shield. Guilt is the leash they use to guide you. Cut that leash. Guard your emotions. Choose carefully who is worthy of your truth. When you do, you stop being the predictable, compliant version of yourself they believed they owned. You become something unfamiliar, something they cannot predict, cannot control. That is when respect begins. Because true power starts the moment you stop giving yourself away. Do you know why some people always seem to get what they want without asking directly? Why their needs are met before they speak them? It is because they have mastered the seventh psychological truth. People obey what they prefer not to confront. Most avoid conflict. They avoid discomfort. They avoid the pressure of saying no, so they say yes. Understand this deeply. The human mind seeks ease. A skilled manipulator creates an atmosphere where refusal feels harder than compliance. They will not demand outright. They will imply. They will suggest. They will make you feel that denial would be rude or heartless. And because you want to avoid that discomfort, you yield. This is not kindness. It is the avoidance of conflict. If you want freedom, you must learn to stay with that discomfort, to let your no stand on its own, to let others carry their disappointment without rushing to soften it. The eighth truth, weakness, is revealed in unnecessary apologies. Watch how often people apologize for existing, for asking, for holding even small boundaries. I'm sorry, I can't today. I'm sorry, I don't agree. Apologies that weaken the very boundary they try to set. Manipulators recognize this instantly. They know you are ready to fold. They know guilt will undo you before they ask anything more. Your apology signals that you don't believe you have the right to say no. Remember, apology is for repair, not for permission. Do not wave it like a white flag before the conversation begins. Save it for your mistakes, not your boundaries. Let your no be direct, clean, and final. The ninth truth may be the most deceptive. They will praise you to own you. Flattery is the leash they disguise as affection. They compliment your generosity, loyalty, or patience, not because they value it, but because they want it to continue. Their praise is not about you. It is about securing your service. And because many crave validation, they give themselves away for it. They work harder to remain good, kind, or helpful, exhausting themselves for approval that is never returned. Recognize this trap. Let praise pass through you like air. Acknowledge it politely if you must, but do not rely on it. The moment you need it, you are no longer free. Most people deny these truths. They want to believe the world is fair, that kindness is always rewarded, that flattery is sincere. But anyone seeking freedom and respect cannot afford such illusions. If you look honestly, you will see how often fear of conflict, reflexive apologies, and hunger for praise are used to control you. No one will thank you for your sacrifices. They will expect them. And when you are drained, they will call you selfish for asking in return. This is why you must change. You must become the one who can sit in discomfort without retreating, who can say no without apology, who can accept praise without needing it. When you no longer fear conflict, people step carefully around you. When you stop apologizing for your needs, they learn to honor them. When praise no longer sways you, they realize you cannot be bought so easily. You stop being the useful, predictable person they relied on, and you become something unsettling, something beyond their control. That is where power begins, but do not mistake it. This change will not make you popular. It will not bring the kind of love you once sought. It will bring respect. Even those who resent you will treat you with caution, because you will have shown them something rare, that you are not for sale, that your emotions are not levers, that your kindness is a choice, not a debt. They will hate you for this, even as they admire you. They will call you difficult, stubborn, or unfeeling. Let them. The world does not need more agreeable men. It needs men who cannot be bent by guilt, flattery, or promises of approval. Remember these lessons. People obey what they fear to confront. Weakness is exposed in needless apologies. Flattery is a leash disguised as kindness. Learn to hold your ground in conflict. Learn to stop apologizing for existing. Learn to treat praise as currency, not as truth. When you do, you become unrecognizable to those who thought they owned you. They will feel unease, hesitation, even respect they cannot explain, because deep down they know you are not like the others. You cannot be controlled. Here lies the 10th psychological truth. Those who want to control you depend on your ignorance of your own value. They will not tell you how capable you are, because the moment you realize it, you will stop serving them. Instead, they downplay your contributions. They accuse you of being too sensitive, too ambitious, too much. They dismiss your boundaries, mock your decisions, not because they are wrong, but because they threaten the balance that keeps them comfortable and you compliant. Understand this. It serves them to keep you small, because a man who knows his worth cannot be cheaply used. He becomes dangerous to those who thrive on dependence. The 11th truth is equally harsh. They will punish you for changing. Watch how quickly approval disappears when you stop playing their role. When you start saying no, when you stop apologizing, when you refuse to be predictable, they will accuse you of arrogance, selfishness, or coldness. They will say, "You've changed," as though growth were betrayal. To them, it is, because your progress highlights their stagnation. Your boundaries reveal their entitlement. Your silence exposes their dependence on your reactions. They are not angry because you hurt them. They are angry because you stopped enabling them. This is the cost of growth, losing the favor of those who only valued your compliance. And finally, the 12th truth. They want you dependent. They need you to rely on their approval more than they rely on yours. They want you worried about their opinion, eager for their validation, hungry for their praise, because dependency is control. If you need them, you will tolerate more, explain more, give more. This is the hidden contract. As long as you need me, I own you. Most sign it unknowingly, with apologies on their lips. But you must read every contract life offers. You must see the chains disguised as gifts, and you must have the courage to walk away from anything that costs you your freedom. Think about your life. How many relationships, jobs, or friendships did you keep too long because you feared losing approval? How many times have you stayed silent to avoid someone's anger? How often have you chosen being liked over being free? These are not small mistakes. They are daily acts of surrender. And this is how the game works. They don't need chains. They only need to convince you that your value depends on them. When you see this clearly, anger may rise in you. Let it come. It is the first sign of waking up, but do not waste it in reaction. That is the trap of the predictable man. Instead, use it to build discipline. Discipline over words, emotions, and choices. Because they are waiting for you to explode, to beg, to break. They want you to prove them right when they call you unstable or weak. Do not give them that. Let your silence speak. Let your composure be your answer. Refuse to play their game, and they will be left to face their own emptiness. This is not passive aggression. It is strategic independence. It is the art of stepping back, so others see themselves without your distraction. It will not make you beloved, but it will make you free. Because the man who lives for approval lives on his knees, and no amount of praise can justify that posture. The man who rejects dependence, who is willing to walk alone, who knows his worth so fully that insults cannot diminish it, and flattery cannot inflate it. That man cannot be controlled. He becomes the exception. He reminds others that submission is a choice, and freedom is always possible, though it demands a price. So remember these truths. They rely on your ignorance to use you. They will punish you for changing because it exposes them. They will cultivate your dependence because it is their strongest leash. Break that leash. Accept their disapproval as proof of your growth. Let their discomfort confirm your strength, and never again let your worth be defined by their acceptance. You were not born to be managed. You were not created to serve anyone's emotions. You were born to rule yourself, and when you do, others will either rise to meet you or fall away. Either outcome is a win. Have you noticed how the world conditions you to keep giving even when you're empty? This is the 13th psychological truth. The system thrives on your fatigue. It rewards the agreeable, the available, the accommodating. It labels sacrifice as virtue while quietly consuming you until there's nothing left. And when you're drained, too tired to resist, that's when you're most useful. They will praise your work ethic while you burn out. They will celebrate your loyalty while they never return it. They will admire your selflessness so long as it benefits them. Because a tired man is a compliant man. He has no strength to question, resist, or rebel. So they will keep you busy, keep you worried, keep you indebted. You will think you are being responsible, even noble. In reality, you are just being used. The 14th truth is just as sharp. They weaponize your empathy. What makes you human becomes the chain they use to bind you. They share problems, frame themselves as victims, appeal to your compassion, not to heal, but to control. They know you cannot watch suffering without stepping in. They know you will give up your peace to manage their chaos. So they create crises, real or not, to keep your focus on them. The manipulator doesn't need to be strong. They only need you to feel responsible for their weakness. And the more you give, the more they expect. If you pull back, they will call you heartless. If you set boundaries, they will accuse you of betrayal. They know your empathy is a currency you will spend, even when your account is empty, and they intend to take every coin. Now the 15th truth: scarcity creates value, abundance destroys it. This applies not just to markets, but to human psychology. The more available you are, the less you are valued. The more you give without asking, the more is expected. The easier you are to reach, the less they respect you. This is not cruelty, it is human nature. We value what is rare. We respect what is protected. We desire what cannot be taken for granted. So when you are always there, always responding, always agreeing, you teach them that your time and energy cost nothing, and they treat it like it's worthless. If you want respect, you must become scarce. You must show that access to you is not a right, but a privilege, one that can be lost. Think about how many times you were exhausted, but agreed anyway. How many times you listened when you wanted silence. How often you gave more than you had to people who never appreciated it. You thought you were being kind, generous, but you were teaching them that your boundaries were negotiable, your needs unimportant, your energy endless. They learned that well. They will never tell you to rest. They will never tell you to protect yourself, because they need you tired, available, and dependent on their approval. The only person who can stop this cycle is you. But breaking it will not be easy. The first time you say no will feel cruel. The first time you ignore a crisis that isn't yours to solve, you will feel cold. The first time you choose rest over responsibility Guilt will rise in you, and they will notice. They will call you selfish. They will question your loyalty. They will test you, because you are not just changing habits, you are changing a dynamic they rely on. You are teaching them that you will no longer be their sponge, their rescuer, their endless source of validation, and they will push back. They may punish you with anger, with silence, with rejection. Endure it. It is proof. Your strategy is working. You must grow comfortable with being called selfish. You must accept being misunderstood. You must stay silent in the face of accusations, because the moment you defend your boundaries, you risk bargaining them away. Let them think what they want. Your job is not to manage their perception. Your job is to manage your energy, your time, your life. Those who truly value you will adjust. They will learn to respect your no and appreciate your yes. Those who refuse, let them go. Their anger is the price of your freedom. So remember these truths. They will keep you exhausted to keep you compliant. They will weaponize your empathy to keep you giving, and they will devalue you if you make yourself too available. Withdraw your energy from those who waste it. Protect your empathy as the treasure it is. Make your presence a privilege, not a commodity. Do this, and you will shift from being the predictable caretaker they take for granted into a force they cannot ignore. You may not be loved by everyone, but you will be respected by those who matter. That is the real currency of power. They will never admit it, but they fear those who can walk away. This is the 16th psychological truth. Your willingness to leave is your greatest leverage. Many stay where they are unwanted, undervalued, disrespected, because they cannot face being alone. They trade dignity for company, freedom for comfort, self-respect for acceptance. Those who know this exploit it. They know you won't leave, so they don't change. They know you'll forgive, so they repeat the same offenses. But the man who can walk away, the man who values his peace above all, he is dangerous. He cannot be threatened, guilted, or bribed with hollow apologies. He is free because he refuses to be captive to approval. The 17th truth strikes deeper. They will make you believe your boundaries are punishments. They will twist your no into cruelty. They will label your distance as abandonment. They will accuse you of being cold or ungrateful. Why? Because they need you guilty for protecting yourself. They need you to see self-preservation as harm. That is how they keep you obedient. If you withdraw, if you refuse, if you detach, they will escalate. Emotional outbursts, accusations, silence. They will use every tool to drag you back into the role you've chosen to outgrow. This is the price of boundaries, being disliked, being misunderstood, even being vilified. But you must pay it, because the alternative is to keep betraying yourself for people who only love you when you're easy to use. Then comes the 18th truth. Absence is often more powerful than presence. Most believe power is in what you say or do, how firmly you assert yourself. But real power lies in what you withhold, when you refuse to explain, when you deny them the reaction they seek, when you walk away instead of fighting for their understanding, when you let silence speak. Your absence forces them to face the space you once filled. It forces them to see the value they ignored. It creates a void only your return can fill. But this is not a game, it is dignity. It is refusing to perform for those who never listened. It is choosing peace over proof. Presence is powerful, but absence is unforgettable. Consider this. The man who cannot leave is a prisoner to those who know he won't. The man who apologizes for boundaries gives permission for their violation. The man who is always there becomes furniture in someone else's life, useful but invisible. But the man who knows when to leave, who says no without justification, who can vanish without explanation, that man commands respect, even in absence. They will speak of him when he's gone. They will wonder what he's thinking. They will realize too late the value of what they dismissed. And some will resent him, not because he harmed them, but because he forced them to see themselves clearly. Make no mistake, this path is not easy. It is not comfortable. It requires facing loneliness. It requires sitting in silence without rushing to fill it. It requires letting go of the need to be liked or understood. It demands prioritizing peace over their comfort. It requires refusing to save people from the results of how they treat you. This is the cost of freedom, and most will not pay it. They choose to stay, to explain, to beg, to perform, to keep peace at the cost of their soul. But you are here because you know there must be another way. You know there is strength in walking alone if it means keeping your self-respect. So let them misunderstand. Let them call you cold. Let them tell their stories of how you changed. Because you did. You stopped sacrificing yourself for their comfort. You stopped explaining yourself to people who never listened. You stopped trying to be loved by those who only valued you for utility. And in that change, you became something rare, unsettling, untouchable. You became free. And freedom always frightens those who profited from your captivity. Remember this final truth. They will fear you if you can leave. They will resent you if you can say no without apology. They will respect you if you stay silent under provocation. And they will never forget you if you disappear without looking back. In a world desperate for approval, terrified of solitude, the man who can walk away is not just respected, he is remembered. He is the standard others measure against, the warning they whisper. Be that man. Be the one they cannot control. Be the one they cannot forget. And don't stop here. Watch the next video. It matters more than you think. See you there.